Okay, I believe we're back. Scotty, you want to tune in?
I'm working on it.
You're not. All right.
My white ass.
So, okay. We're back. Hopefully the kids will come back. Let me get my book for gun shows.
I don't know too bad.
You don't know if we're back? It says we're back. It says we got one looker. There you are. Okay, since we're back and that we'll just start with the gun shows while the other kids are coming in there because most of you are out of town and can't make it here, but the people that are listening on the road can. Okay. September the 18th and 19th, the Cherry Tree Gun Show at the Cherry Tree Volunteer Fire Hall. I will be there again. That's the Cherry Tree Gun Show at the Cherry Tree Fire Hall. And I will be there. That's a show that I'm helping to put on or putting on or co-sponsoring with the guy. And then we go from September into Aki's October. In October, we're getting pretty filled up here. On the 9th and 10th of October, Conneaut Lake Sportsman's Club Gun Show. That's at their Sportsman's Club on Route 18 up there in Conneaut Lake. Then the 16th and the 17th is Rocky Grove Fire Hall down in Franklin, PA. And then we come to the 22nd and 23rd is Shippensville and Shippensville, PA. That's on Route 322 going to Shippensville. That's Friday and Saturday. That one I will not be able to make because I have one on Saturday the 23rd and the 24th at Jefferson County Fairgrounds, Jefferson County, Ohio. Okay, that's the Jefferson County Fairgrounds, Jefferson, Ohio. Then September the 30th and 31st is another gun show that I'm putting on. It's at the East Mead Fire Hall on Route 27, just 5 miles east of Meadville, headed towards Titusville. Again, that's Saturday the 30th and the 21st. 21st. Then we go into November.
Wait a minute, go back to that one. I will be there. I will be there for that one, signing autographs. So, come on out. I may even do a dance. Make a little love so we can get down tonight. All right.
In your fur-lined bikini? Okay, see, where was I? I just got, that was East Mead. Then November the 13th and the 14th, Hermitage, PA, at the VFW down there in Hermitage, PA. That's on Route 62 east of Route 18. Again, that's Hermitage, PA at the VFW there. And then we go to November. We go through all November. And now we go into December. And then on the 11th and 12th of December, we have the Harbor Creek Gun Show up in Harbor Creek Fire Hall on Route 20, Harbor Creek, PA. Again, that's Harbor Creek Gun Show, Fire Hall. And so that's what we got in the line of Daryl, the other stream is still live. What the?
Oh, heavens.
Why can I not kill that son of a bitch? Come on now. No. Well, kids, I'm afraid that I got two choices here because I am perplexed as to why I'm doing it. Um, One is I shut down and call it quits for the night, or you can bear with us for the last 45 minutes, and I will get a hold of my technician and explain to him what's going on. So, okie dokie. Now, the other thing is, it's dead, and just let it roll. Okay, I'll just keep on doing the stream, guys, because that's what you seem to want to hear. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Okay, since we have a couple things about the mentioned about the border wall, got a couple things out of Texas. Judge, this is off of Newsmax. Judge orders Biden to revive Trump's remain in Mexico asylum policy. A federal judge ordered the Biden administration to revive the controversial policy began under the former President Donald Trump and forces immigrants seeking U.S. asylum at the southern border to wait in Mexico while their applications are pending. U.S. District Judge Matthew J. Kaczmarek is amaritid of remaining in Mexico policy before ending the program. It's another setback for President Joe Biden following a January ruling by a different judge in Texas that temporarily blocked the new administration's plan to pause deportations and documented immigrants for 100 days. Friday's decision came in a lawsuit filed by the Republican-led state of Texas and Missouri, which claimed the suspension of the program was worsening conditions at the border and allowing criminals to slip into the country. Biden suspended the Remain in Mexico program the day after he took office on January 20th amid criticism that it pushes immigrants into squalid and dangerous housing south of the border. Well, that's their problem. That's not our problem. After review, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas announced the end of the program on June 1st. He said that he determined that it was not adequate and or substantially enhance border management in such a way as to justify the program's extensive operational burdens and other shortfalls in his 55. Anyway, I don't need to read the rest of that. The thing here is, where do you, Mr. Head of the Homeland Security, have the right to cancel any program that was put on by a head of a department that was put in place or by a president of the United States? I don't care whether the president's still in office or out of office. He has no authority to do that. His job is to administer his department under the regulations that are put forth before him.
Well, very obviously, we're living in bizarro land, so none of these rules matter.
No. But if you and I try to break a rule, what's going to happen to us?
Well, being the awesome person that I am, nothing. But you, sir, going back to the rule of law, Texas being hot topic, warrants served to Texas Dems, but holdout on voter reform bill continues. My question is, I hear all this talk about how the people of color will be disproportionately affected by these new voter restrictions, harkening back to the Jim Crow era of the South. But the thing is, they never go about and get specific and say, here's what they're going to do, here's how it's going to affect them. They just speak in these vague generalities. And these idiot politicians are getting all the time in the press, and then the more the idiot from CNN parrots it, and then congressperson, then CNN, then Congress. By at the end of a month, everyone believes it.
Well, the thing of it is, these these restrictions aren't really restrictions. Okay, they're just guidelines on how you're supposed to go vote. Okay, you're supposed
Stop
to vote.
cheating.
Yeah, stop cheating. You're supposed to vote in person at the polling place. Now, what is stopping the blacks from doing that? Okay,
Nothing.
nothing. Okay, except maybe themselves. Okay, mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots is too easy to alter or forge or add to it.
Ballot harvesting and all that
especially since a lot of these places that are Democrat controlled wanted to go to and had gone to extended deadlines for those ballots to be counted and or received to be counted. Pennsylvania, they boosted it for 3 days after they found out that Trump was beating the shit out of Biden in Pennsylvania. So they boosted it for 3 days so they could stuff the ballots. And believe me, when you have 250,000 more ballots cast than are registered voters, there's something wrong. I don't care what judge it is that says, no, there's nothing wrong. There's something wrong. All right?
Something very wrong.
All right. So everybody just keeps telling us to stay put, Scott. So, okay, we stay put. Okay. So it's not really restricting anything. It's just redefining the system's been in place where nobody has been discriminated against since the civil rights movement or laws were changed back in the 60s and the 70s. Okay. Nobody has been denied the access. If you want to vote, it's up to you to get there to vote. Okay. And
okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, another thing that we often talk, or I bring up, how if you say something enough times, people believe it, whether or not it's true.
Mm-hmm.
In all of these articles that I read and all these politicians that are coming out, they're saying how these new voting laws are an assault against our democracy. They're all using that term, democracy, democracy, democracy. I don't hear anybody correcting anyone saying we're not in a democracy.
Well, we're not. We're
It's
in a constitutional limited republic.
But the more you say it, the more people, well, what do you mean? Democracy, democracy, democracy.
Well, it's easier to say democracy than the other 10 words. Okay? We're a constitutional republic. Okay?
But what I'm getting at is,
I know what you're getting at. Yeah.
people are going to start, these lawyers who are politicians who went through, all the civic stuff, either don't know or don't care.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds. See what it does is what did the Soviet Union, when it's in all together, what did they call themselves?
Union of Soviet Socialist Republic.
Democratic Republic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, North Korea is a republic. I ain't worried about North Korea.
No.
They're a dictatorship, actually. They're not even a republic. They're a dictatorship.
Well, according to the history books, Kim Jong-un learned how to ride a bike when he was 3.
Oh,
He invented math.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. That's the kind of crazy shit they teach their people.
Well, the Russians for a long time, when the Soviet Union took over, was teaching that they invented the car, and yeah, it's a matter of brainwashing and conditioning, and the United States has watched this come and go in Germany, the Soviet Union, and all the other countries that have adopted communism and stuff. And they've learned how to indoctrinate and take over a country slowly, and that's
exactly what's happening.
Yeah, they are indoctrinating our children in your public. It starts with the children in your public school systems, and then it goes and gets reinforced when they go to college. And so, what did they do? They come in with a little stronger mindset because they've had a little bit more brainwashing. They come in and they get jobs as teacher, and they just increase it, just like this critical race theory. There are places that people are the public are telling the school boards, no, we're not adopting the critical race theory, but yet these liberal thinking bastards on the school boards are pushing it through because they're probably getting money from the liberal communist bastards in their state capital to do it.
I don't even know if it's that. I just think they have been told by their college and their instruction that they are so much smarter than the dumb redneck, the dumb Republican. They need to take us into the new millennium.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got this huge chip on their shoulder. They're going to tell us what to do, whether we like it or not.
That's right. We know what's best for you. We're from the government, and we're here to help you. Yeah. Yeah, Amy, you're right. All forms of government are bad, but the basic idea that we had was the best form that man has ever come up with. And so, until something better comes along, and I know communism isn't. Of course, if you read the communist history books written by Lenin and Marx and the other ones, it paints a utopia picture where everybody has a job, everybody shares in the benefits of what everybody does. Okay? And
I would love it to be that way. Everybody works hard for the common good. Everybody has a full belly. Everybody has a nice car, nice TV, but that's just not the nature of it.
No.
Humans are animals, and one will always try to take advantage of it.
That's exactly it. It's exactly it. And people resent busting their butt to support somebody else that's not putting forth the same effort. Okay. Now there's a difference between being able to put forth the same effort and being handicapped to the point where you can't. Okay, that's a different ball game there. I probably shouldn't have brought it up, but the problem is, I don't like busting my ass 12, 14 hours a day when I was running my gun shop, 6-7 days a week when I was throwing in the gun shows on top of that. And I made of course, the profit margin I had was probably my fault because I didn't charge enough. But back when I opened my business up, the basic wages around here were, roughly speaking, $8 to $10 an hour was a big wage back then. And so that's where I started my business up at, and that's where I maintained my work hourly rate for 20 years before I changed it. And I was always busy, working 10 or 12 hours. Okay, whereas then you have all these other people out there that Peter Hohandle sitting on the curb smoking a cigarette and wanting to sell some drugs to somebody and not working. Well, I guess that was working, but collecting money from the government and
Not putting anything back into it.
not putting anything in it, just sucking off the system, living off the system. Well, that only lasts for so long, and then it breaks down. And every civilization or every country that I know of has a history of having violent revolutions every so often. Some more so than others, but they all have it. And well, the Soviet Union supposedly was supposed to be so great, but after about 70 years or 75 years, they broke apart because the system did not work the way it was implemented. But that's getting off on another tangent in that we were talking about border problems. And now, this one's liable to get us banned on YouTube. Okay, Emmy, I gotta see what you said. Oh, okay, that's what you're saying, and that's what they're. Well, anyway, this is off of Newsmax. Paxton faults record border migration on COVID rise in Texas. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton on Sunday said COVID-19 numbers are spiking because the record migrant, yeah, they left off a letter, immigrant surge at the border. In an interview on Fox News Sunday morning futures, Paxton said President Joe Biden's criticism of the alarming COVID caseload in the state is pointless since he has no credibility. There are no doubt our COVID-19s are going up because of the border and what's going on down there, he said. I talked to Dallas police officer who told me that they've seen buses come in at night and completely emptied and the people just disappear. But he added, the president's criticism doesn't have any credibility left with me. He's lecturing us, Texas and Florida and Americans on the vaccines and on masks, and yet he's allowing illegal immigrants with COVID coming across our border every day by the thousands, he charged. And so it's hard for me to believe in what he's saying when he is openly allowing people to cross the border and then go all around the country with the COVID. I have to agree with him. I've been doing a lot of reading, and since the immigration problem fell apart, the COVID, well, let's first back up. COVID was starting to disappear. And then the illegal immigrants coming up, infected with COVID, being brought in here. Some were being tested and screened, but some of them weren't. But even if they tested positive or the screening showed that they had the virus, but may not have been sick, they were still shipped to different parts of the country and not telling anybody in the area that these people are coming. And then what happens? Those that tested positive, someone come down with the illness, they resurge it, and it spreads. And now they call it the Delta variant. Now there's another one that I was reading about just Wednesday or Thursday. Right now it's supposedly only 1% of the cases in the United States, but several of the southern countries down around the equator and that have a 30 to 40 or 50% infection rate from this new new stuff in it, supposedly resistant to the current COVID vaccines, even with the boosters. So,
Yay.
so all I can tell you, folks, it ain't over yet. And the reason it ain't over yet is because we are not doing anything to stop the research from continuing. Remember, I told you the Chinese at the very same facility that the COVID came from are researching genetic attacking viruses. So, anyway. Yeah, there's plus the fact that they're now saying the breakthrough virus, for those who've already had the shot, is growing by leaps and bounds. So here we get. We're trusting, and people have lied to us and continue to lie to us, and we trust what they're telling us. I don't trust them any further than I can throw them, and I'll tell you what. I'm getting old. I can't
Your
throw things.
shot putting days are over.
Yeah, my shot putting days are over. Well, it depends on the size of the shot and what I use to shoot it with. Okay. Did you find something there you wanted?
Well, I started talking about
here,
that.
the Democrats, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So going back to those Democrats, which I don't understand how they're not already in jail, but officers of the Texas House of Representatives delivered civil arrest warrants for more than 50 absent Democrats on Wednesday as frustrated Republicans ratcheted up efforts to end a standoff over sweeping elections bill that stretched into its 31st day. I think I read somewhere that they actually got this, that they finally got enough people there to get it passed.
Yeah, they did. That's what I heard.
So
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go there. But, how can, I know how, and I'm not foolish, but this just,
I shot a woodchuck.
yeah, I smell it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
There's these public servants making money off of the taxpayers, running away from their duties, and people are looking at them like they're damn heroes.
What would happen to you if you went to work or didn't go to work for a number of days if these people would be off? You would be looking for a job, wouldn't you?
I would lose my license as well because it would be job abandonment. I'd be putting all these people at risk.
Mm-hmm. So you would lose your job. Doesn't matter. Anybody you went to work someplace, you didn't show up for 30 days, you wouldn't have a job. Unless, of course, you can prove you're on your deathbed.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Okay,
extenuating circumstances.
But if your employer was even kind enough to let you still have your job, you would be deducted your pay.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, unless you had obvious.
So these senators, if they should be held accountable to the taxpayers, and the taxpayers, and especially the ones in the district that these assholes are from, should be crying and saying or screaming at the top of their lungs, get back here, get to work, or you're losing a day's pay. For every day you're gone, you're going to lose a day's pay. And if it don't stop, we're going to increase it to 2 days' pay for every day you're missing. Take the money away from them. Hit them where it hurts, and that's their pocketbook.
That's the only way to do it.
And that's the only thing to understand is MONEY. And if they have to surrender, but they've been out now 30 days, 35 days, something like that.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah. So if they're making, excuse me. So if they're making $120,000 a year salary, why 30 days would be roughly 1/10 of that. So they should be losing $12,000 out of their paycheck.
You would think.
And so So anyhow, that's where we're at, and that's the problem with these elected officials. They have no concept of what they're there for. They think they're there for good old boys club, and we'll do our thing. But every so often we'll throw a bone to our constituents to make them think that we are doing something for them.
Yeah.
You know. So okay. Remember Biden closed down the construction of the oil pipeline coming down from Canada?
Keystone.
Yeah. Well, it seems that he closed down a bunch of other pipelines in this country, and so the reason we're starting to have the reason we have this oil problem, oil shortage, is because he shut down our domestic production and put people out of work, and now he's trying to show how big a statesman he is. This is out of who's this off of? Warnet Daily. Biden begs oil cartel to increase production after reducing U.S. drilling. And so here we go. The Biden administration, which began its reign by turning off the spigot of oil flowing from North American sources, is now begging Middle Eastern nations for anything they can spare. The White House on Wednesday released a statement by National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, in which Sullivan said the United States needs foreign nations to bail it out. No, it don't. Just turn the spigots back on. You goddamn dummies. Higher gasoline costs, if left unchecked, risk harming the ongoing global recovery, and the price of crude oil has been higher than it was at the end of 2019 before the onset of the pandemic, the statement said. The American Automobile Association on Wednesday said the average price of gas in the United States is $3.18.5 a gallon. That's more than $1 higher than the average price of $2.18 a year ago. While OPEC recently agreed to production increases, the increase will not fully offset previous production costs that OPEC Plus imposed during the pandemic until well into 2022. At a critical moment in the global recovery, this is simply not enough, the statement continued. President Joe Biden has made it clear that he wants Americans to have access to affordable and reliable energy, including at the pump. If you were, Joe, you truly, truly were, all you have to do is turn the pumps back on. Although we are not party to OPEC, the United States will always speak to international partners regarding issues of significance that affect our national economy, economic and security affairs, and public and private. We are engaging with relevant OPEC members on the importance of competitive markets in setting prices. Competitive energy markets will ensure reliable and stable energy supplies, and OPEC Plus must do more to support the recovery, the statement said. So, no need to go on about that because it's just more garbage. But
more garbage.
More garbage. But the simple fact of the matter is, the answer to the whole thing is just turn our spigots back on in this country. Texas governor told, here it is, off of Newsmax. Texas Governor Abbott tells White House to let Texas produce our oil. Exactly. We have the resources. We have shut it down because of some lying bastard in the White House. After the White House urged the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, to pump more oil, Texas Governor Greg Abbott chimed in to tell President Joe Biden to let Texas produce the oil. Abbott tweeted Thursday morning, "Dear White House, Texas can do this. Our producers can easily produce that oil if your administration will just stay out of the way and allow American workers, not OPEC, produce the oil that can reduce the prices of gasoline. Don't make us dependent on foreign sources of energy again." Most of the people in this country are probably too young to remember the oil shortages of the
I remember.
60s.
I remember the 70s.
Yeah, early 60s, late 60s, and early 70s. Okay. I forget the reason why there was a shortage here, but I'm going to tell you one thing. Based on my personal experience. No, not my personal experience. Based on my uncle's personal experience, who lived down in Florida and had a boat. He used to go out in the ocean and about 4 or 5 miles out to go fishing. And he was out there and he came across the fleet of ships anchored off the coast, about 4 miles out.
Waiting to bring in oil.
Sitting to bring in oil, and they were fully loaded because they were down to their water line, maximum buoyancy or whatever. And they were sitting here waiting to bring in oil. But yet we had an oil shortage in this country. And I believe that was a conspiracy between the feds and the oil companies to do that. And especially when you see now Biden shuts everything down and wants OPEC to bring the oil, and we have a governor in Texas who says Texas can produce the oil, and so can any of the other states that have oil resources, can produce the oil and keep the prices down.
Well, what was it back in the mid 70s? Big OPEC embargo. You went by the last number of your license plate as to whether you get gas one day to the next.
Mm-hmm. And at the same time, when I was younger, I mowed my dad's yard, and he'd always have me go get some gasoline for the mower. So I had a 1 gallon can. Because a 1 gallon can of gasoline for a young kid is kind of heavy. Okay. So, but there was a gas station just down the corner from us. So I went down there about twice a month to get gasoline. And my dad would give me 27 cents to pay for a gallon of gasoline.
Jesus.
Okay, 27 cents. And it stayed that way for quite a while. Then after the, that was during what they called the gas price wars. Then it was shortly after that all of a sudden there was the shortage started up. And so, but yeah, you know, when these people are saying we're doing this for, who's good are you doing that for, Biden? You shut the oil down. Now you're bitching because the price is going up, and you're telling the Americans you want to make it so they have sustainable and affordable energy, but yet you do everything it is the opposite. Well, I said, listen to what they're saying and figure they're doing the opposite.
Pretty much it too.
So, well, we have about 7 minutes.
Something else you haven't seen in the news because it was pretty much shut down. All the riots and protests in Cuba.
Oh yeah. Well, that they couldn't have that.
Couldn't have the super socialist Cuba communist country.
No, we can't have the communist government in Cuba falling.
They were,
because that's what they're trying to sell here.
the Cuban government were like rounding up dissidents off the street. People are, have no idea where their loved ones are, taken to re-education or camps, or probably just dropped in the freaking ocean.
Well, if you remember, after the terrorist attack of 9/11 and Patriot Bill that they called it. It had the clause in there where the government could arrest you and not tell anybody where you're at and keep you incognito until they were ready to bring you to trial. No bail. Okay.
Yeah.
And didn't have to tell you where you were at. So I know when I was released from the Erie County Jail to go to the hospital for to be admitted for heart surgery, the people at the hospital had no knowledge of me coming, so they wouldn't admit me. So I went home because we tried calling the U.S. Marshal that was supposed to be in charge of my case, and he didn't answer his cell phone. Because he told me if anything goes wrong, just give me a phone call. Here's my cell phone. I always have it with me in line.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. So then we left the message. Then the next morning I called him again and told him what happened. And we also called my attorney, told him what happened. And he says, well, I'll call them and see what they want to do because you were technically released on medical bail or medical release. And so they called me, and then my attorney called me back and says, you have 4 hours to get to Erie and turn yourself back into the jail up there. The U.S. Marshal will meet you there. So that immediately set off not a heart attack, but
Anxiety attack?
yeah, atrial fibrillation, and I'd taken the nitro pills to try and calm it down. It wasn't working. So anyway, we got up there and he started yelling at me, what the have you done? I says, hey, you said you'd have your phone with you. And when they didn't admit me, I called you and we left a message. I said, well, it doesn't matter. You should have not have gotten, you didn't go, he says, you didn't go to where you were supposed to go. I said, where does it say on the paper that I'm supposed to go? It has no address to where I was supposed to report. So I went home and we called everybody, trying to get a hold of them to find out what I should do. So anyway, that night I was able to call the wife, and I told her these heart problems weren't easing up, and that the wing that I'm on has visitation rights Saturday morning, the next morning. This is on Friday night. So I said, come on up. And if I'm not here, I'm probably at the hospital. And so sure enough, I went to the hospital and that. So, but that's the case. They wouldn't tell her where I was at. When she showed up there, they wouldn't tell her where I was at. So she went home and she called the attorney. And the attorney found out where I was at. That's about the only thing he did do for me, but anyway. Okay, kids, well, we got 2 minutes to go. And I don't have anything more that I want to get into because a lot of it just gets lengthy and my voice is getting tired. And after drinking 2 full mugs of water like this during the show, my bladder's starting to fill up.
And he continues.
So, anything final words there, Scott?
Yeah, just keep your eyes open for silly stuff.
Yeah.
Try not to give up hope. That's odd coming from me, but
well, no, there's no. Well, it's not odd coming for you. You just don't very often say that, but there's always hope. And so we can always hope for the best and prepare for the worst. And so at that point, God bless the Republic. Death to the New World Order. We shall prevail. I haven't heard that one for a while.
What were you supposed to remind me?